Yo, what's good? What's up? Welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Hope everybody out there is having a fantastic weekend. First, I want you to hit that subscribe button here to support the program, but also, if you want Eagles content every single day that's informative, insightful, entertaining, thought-provoking, that involves you better than any other Eagles YouTube channel out there, then hit that sub button. As we look ahead, we're going to continue to give you shows on the daily, watch parties to come, training camp at the end of this month, preseason, regular season, playoffs, and hopefully a Super Bowl run. You don't want to miss it, so let's get it. On the docket for today, doing a mailbag, taking your questions, and I love chopping it up with the Bird Gang here. We start off with this legend, Paul, a $100 super chat. Just got married a couple of weeks ago. Hope everything is going well with the marriage, my brother. If the Jets don't do well, and the Eagles part ways, or if Vic Fangio decides to retire, which I doubt, I think the Jets head coach would be dangerous as a defensive coordinator. When he was the Niners defensive coordinator a couple of years ago, they were really good. So a couple of thoughts on this. I think that Robert Saleh, more of a defensive coordinator than he is as a head coach. I don't think he's done a great job of overseeing the entire Jets operation. It's also difficult to gauge if he's a quality coach or not because that offense has been so bad. But in just managing things, the Zach Wilson situation, the Aaron Rodgers drama, I just don't think that Robert Saleh is cut out to be a coach in this league. And this year for the New York Jets, boom or bust. I could see them winning 10 to 12 games, winning the AFC East. I could see them being awful and picking top 5 in the NFL draft next year. If you were to get canned by New York, I'd like him as a defensive coordinator candidate. I don't want that to happen, though. I like continuity and consistency at the coordinator spots. The Eagles already don't have that. Both coordinators new in back-to-back years. And if Vic Fangio struggles this year, that means this Eagles team struggles. And I don't think that he's closing in on retiring. He did say, I hope that Philadelphia is my last stop. He grew up in Dunmore, the neighboring town of Scranton. Shout out to the 570, and would like to end his career in Philadelphia. But hopefully he's got a couple of years because I like him, and I want to see that defensive continuity. John Stamey, $5 super chat. Go Birds. Also, your thoughts on Panthers, Eagles. So, of course, go Birds. That's a part of the lifestyle. And my thoughts on Eagles-Panthers. That game is on December 8th, noon, Philadelphia at home. And it's after a pretty difficult stretch of games for Philadelphia. I don't think the Panthers are going to be good. I'll probably have to eat the crow on this. I did like Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud in the pre-draft process. C.J. Stroud has ended up being the far superior quarterback 1 year in. I do think that Bryce Young adding some weight. He also had an awful team last year. Stroud's team was pretty solid. The head coaching position, much better with D'Amico Ryans as compared to Frank Reich. I think that Young can rebound. Dave Canales did a great job as the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and revitalizing Baker Mayfield and really rejuvenating his career. Baker played some really good ball, especially down the stretch, and they damn near beat the Detroit Lions in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. So I think the Panthers will be improved, but they have plenty of holes on that roster where Philadelphia should be able to win that game and win that game big. If they lose, it's kind of a disaster. Craig Show legend, what are your thoughts on Jordan Davis? Carter is proving he's going to be great, but haven't been impressed with Davis in his first 2 years. I think that both Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter can take pretty big leaps. Davis going into year 3, Jalen Carter going into year 2. We certainly saw flashes of dominance from Jalen Carter last year. He graded out very, very well and highly, according to Pro Football Focus. And Jordan Davis did not grade out bad, but the same concern that I have now is the same question that I voiced the night that the Eagles drafted him over Kyle Hamilton, which I think would have been a better pick. And that's this. Is he a 2-down player or is he a 3-down player? 6'6", 340, mountain of a man. That's great. And at times he's been able to physically overpower offensive linemen, but he hasn't been consistent enough, and he should be physically dominant all the time because of that size. We've seen the athleticism. The guy ran, a sub 540 at that weight? That's crazy. He ran down Josh Allen All of that is cool. It's highlight reel worthy. It's fun to talk about, but I need to see it more consistently. Hopefully, him and Jalen Carter have better conditioning levels going into this season, because if they can both put it together, those two players, they could cause a lot of problems and they can take over games by overwhelming the opposing offense. And I think that Davis plays a little bit better than he has his first 2 years, where we've seen stretches, but he has to do it more often. Godspeed. Are we getting CeeDee Lamb? I don't think there's any way that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to land CeeDee Lamb. Now, there was a report earlier this week that if CeeDee Lamb doesn't get $32 million per year on that new contract, he could demand a trade. The Dallas Morning News reporting that if the Cowboys don't sign him to a new deal, he is going to be a training camp holdout. CeeDee Lamb's a terrific player, but his market is going to be $32, $33 million per year. A.J. Brown is already making $32 million per year. The guaranteed money for CeeDee Lamb could be upwards of $100 million, and Devontae Smith is making $25 million. The Eagles realistically can't afford to have those three wide receivers on the team at the same time. If Hurts was on his rookie contract, that'd be fine, but he's making $51 million AAV. Andrew Nathan, Chase, an article came out that named 3 potential trade candidates on the team. James Bradberry, Kenny Gainwell, Josh Sweat. What are your thoughts on this? And do you think that Avonte Maddox could also be traded? I don't know if Avonte Maddox is a trade candidate. Maybe if the Eagles are very pleased with Cooper DeJean out of the slot, then they could decide to part ways with Avonte Maddox. It's a veteran player who's played very well when healthy. He's also extremely affordable. He basically came back to Philadelphia after getting let go on the vet min. So he could be a sneaky trade candidate. What's funny is that I actually talked about James Bradberry, Kenny Gainwell, and Josh Sweat as trade candidates earlier this week. Go back and check that video out. I thought it was a great breakdown with some really good numbers and some financial implications there. I think you hold on to Gainwell because you're already thin at running back. For Josh Sweat, you'd have to be very convinced that Nolan Smith can take a leap, that Jalix Hunt can give you something, that Brandon Graham in year 15 can still contribute, and that Bryce Huff is going to continue with what he did last year in having 10-plus sacks. So of those players who I could see being traded, it's James Bradberry. Even if it's for pennies on the dollar, you're so deep at that cornerback spot that you can afford to get rid of a player like that. It's a Philly John. So running this new scheme, I know we keep going back to it, but with all this new talent coming in, is it really learning a new scheme or just learning the defense? I would say it's learning a new scheme and learning a new defense. I mean, anytime you have a new defensive coordinator, by the way, great YouTube name, and I love the profile picture, but anytime you have a new defensive coordinator, there are different calls, there's a different philosophy, there's a different type of defensive flow, there's different terminology with the scheme, with the plays, with the play calls. So there's definitely going to be a learning curve because of that, but you're right. I mean, with all these new players on the defensive side of the football, the Eagles pretty much remade their entire secondary. You brought in a new starting linebacker. The defensive line outside of Bryce Huff, there's some continuity there, but there will be a learning curve. Now, during the spring, OTAs and mandatory minicamp, which unit implementing a new scheme won at practice and dominated? It was the defense over the offense. Now, I think on the defensive side of the ball, you can fire without thinking so much, and you can just kind of make plays quickly without having to worry about route combinations and timing and offensive line blocking and all the nuances that go into offensive football, but so far so good from this Eagles defense. Lion Fighter, what are your goals for the Eagles this year? I mean, the ultimate goal is to be attending another parade for the second time since 2017. And if the Eagles can win 2 Super Bowls since 2017, what a run. And they have the talent to do that. How are the new coordinator hires going to do? How's this remade defense going to perform? Can Jalen Hurts play like he did during his runner-up MVP campaign in 2022? The talent is there, man. The organization is in a really good spot. You have a great owner, great general manager. What's Nick Sirianni going to look like? Is the team going to buy into him once again? But everything is aligned The Eagles, I think, are a better team than they were last year. Offensive line is still a top 5 unit. You still have all these offensive weapons and Saquon Barkley. Your secondary should be better. Defensive line should be really good. You brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the back end. Sometimes you need some luck on your side, but the ultimate goal for the Eagles to win it all. Outside of that, I want to see Saquon Barkley used in a Christian McCaffrey type of way as a runner and as a pass catcher. I want to see Devin White have a career year. I want to see Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter pop off. I want to see Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean have a role. I want to see Dallas Goedert stay healthy and be very productive. I want to see A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith continue to play like an elite 1-2 punch at that wide receiver spot. Cam Jurgens got to be able to fill in for Jason Kelce. Who's going to be this team's starting right guard? Will it be Tyler Steen or will it be Mekhi Becton? So all of those are things that come to mind. And Nick Sirianni, prove to everybody that you're a legit coach in this league because I think you are and you've shown it. Just wondering if you have any further info on Kendall Milton. How is he looking? So the Eagles are a little bit thin at that running back spot, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. Saquon will be the number 1, Kenny Gainwell the number 2, and then Will Shipley the number 3. If the Eagles want to hold on to a 4th back, it could be Kendall Milton. Ty Davis Price hasn't really been able to show anything so far in his NFL career. Going into year 3 as a former 3rd-round pick. And for Kendall Milton, he does give this team something at the running back spot that they do not have. And that's a really physical ball carrier who has a knack for getting into the end zone. And he gets into the end zone very impressively by lowering his shoulder and running dudes over. And I think as a short yardage back, if you don't want to utilize the brotherly shove all too much or as much without Jason Kelce, and you want to keep Jalen Hurts a little bit more upright, or you don't get the same push with Cam Jurgens at center that you did with Kelce, do you utilize a short yardage back like Milton, who at Georgia was the guy inside the 5 who would find the paint? So had a solid spring. I want to see what he looks like with the pads on because that's when he's able to show his full skill set. Be sure to subscribe to us here on Philadelphia Eagles Now, right here on this program. We give you shows every single day, and I love chopping it up and talking with all Eagles fans from all across the globe.